Hello, I'm going to be reviewing the film 2000 Maniacs for the Rotten Spot. It's Exploitation Week. Um, 2000 Maniacs came out in 1964. I believe it's Herschel Gordon Lewis' second film. It's considered the second in a trilogy of the, I think it's called the Blood films, which is Blood Feast. The first one would be Blood Feast, and 2000 Maniacs, then uh, Color Me Blood Red. Um, the plot of 2000 Maniacs is about six Northerners who get tricked into coming to the South. They're driving. I'm not sure where they're driving to, but only one of them I know is driving to Atlanta, Georgia for a teachers meeting. But they're coming through Georgia, and they pass. And there's these two Southern guys who are putting signs out to detour them to come into their town. And the whole idea is that you find out is that it's their centennial for, well, you don't know until later on, but basically this big battle happened in the Civil War and they're celebrating it. So they get detoured. Two of them are a couple. Two of the groups are a couple, and one is a person driving. Is one of them's a person driving a teacher. Like one of them, like she was driving, she picked him up because his car broke down. So he was like a hitchhiker. So they said, "Oh, we need six Northerners for this centennial." So they spend the night at the motel, but then slowly things start happening. Like they start getting calls like to separate them. Like one, they take like the woman, and then they go off with the man, and then they take a guy and make him go off with the woman. And I think the first death is like they draw and quarter some guy by attaching his limbs to horses, and they run apart and they tear his limbs apart. Then a one woman, she goes with a guy, and then they get chased out to the swamp. I think that's later. I'm sorry, but I watched this like a few months ago. But like one death is like the deaths are very gruesome. Like one death, a guy gets they're doing like this barrel roll thing. So they put the guy in this barrel and they put nails in it and they roll him down a hill. Um, one woman she gets killed by a rock. Like like when you're laying down. Oh, I know one woman. She gets kidnapped and they hold her down on a table and they cut her limbs off and she bleeds out. Then I think that was the same woman. I'm not sure, but who went out to the swamp with the guy, and then he started attacking her, and she freaked out, and he fell into some quicksand, and uh, no, that was later. Sorry. Um, but anyways, then there's another one where a woman gets killed by a rock, like she's laying down on a platform and there's a rock like above her head, and basically like it's kind of like when you do the dunk tanks, like when you throw the ball and hit the target and the person falls in the water. Well, basically they're throwing baseballs at this target and make the rock fall on her, and it does, and it kills her. Then this other the hitchhiker the hitchhiker and the teacher, the not the hitch sorry the lady who was driving the teacher, they both find out that what's going on, because when they're one of the guy was walking through the woods and he found this placard this plaque where it said like this was the spot of a massacre where the North killed all these villagers in this town, so now basically they're seeking revenge. So they decide to leave, and they get they like convince this little, like they're running away, and that's when the guy falls into quicksand and he gets killed. And then they're running away, and they meet one of the little boys in the town, and they convince him that we'll give you candy if you help us escape, if you help us get the car keys and stuff. So he gets the car keys for them, and they drive off, and then basically they leave the town, and they go tell the police, and the police is like, well, they go back. They're like, well, there's not a town that exists, and they're like, what do you mean? They're like, we just went there. And then he's like, well, take me back to the spot. So they took him back, and the town's not there. So you find out that it's like a ghost town, and that it only regenerates every 100 years. So, that's what. So they said, well, we'll wait till the next bicentennial, and then we'll wait till the bicentennial to come back, and then the film ends. This was actually my favorite out of the Herschel Gordon Lewis films. I thought it was a little bit better made. It had more of a good plot to it. But anyways, I would highly recommend this film if you like splatter films or if you like gory. It's not really a slasher film, but it does have a lot of, like I'd say, a splatter film. But anyways, that's my review.